Chapter 7. Lahiri Mahasaya's Kriya Yoga, second part. Completion of the explanation of first Kriya routine. The practice described in the preceding chapter is unique. You won't find another similar with regard to beauty and sweetness. Now, to add something, Mahamudra. Navi Kriya and Yoni Mudra has in itself a slight probability to damage this ideal. You know, traditional teaching of the first Kriya includes these three practices. Usually Mahamudra and Navi Kriya are a good preparation to the practice of Kriya Pranayam, and Yoni Mudra is practiced at the end of your routine. Other arrangements are not only possible, everything is possible, life is yours, but are rational, logic and surely useful. Not only that, you can decide to practice other techniques, for example the traditional pranayams like Nadi Shodhana Pranayam, Kapalbhati, Bhastrika, and you can tell me that they are far more useful than what is given by the tradition of Kriya Yoga. There are many things to consider when experimenting. Now let us learn these three pillars of Kriya Yoga initiation. Mahamudra. Use a carpet placed on the pavement to practice the following procedure. Bend the left leg under the body so the left heel is as near as possible to the perineum. The right leg is fully extended in front. Inhale deeply, feel the energy coming up in the head. Hold the breath, stretch forward, in a relaxed way, so that you can grasp the toes of your right foot with both hands and gently pull them backwards. In this outstretched position, the chin is pressed naturally against the chest. Continue holding the breath and mentally chant Om in the region between the eyebrows 6 to 12 times. You can contract the anal and the abdominal muscles and draw the abdominal muscles in slightly so the navel moves inward toward the lumbar center. While holding the breath, return to the starting position and with a long exhalation, visualize sending the warm energy down to the base of the spinal column. Repeat the procedure with the leg positions reversed and finally repeat the procedure with both legs outstretched. This is one Mahamudra. It requires about 60 to 80 seconds. Mahamudra is to be practiced 3 times. Note 1. This mudra must be comfortable and it must not hurt. Initially, most Kriyabans will not be able to do the forward stretch without risking back or knee injury. To avoid pain or injury, you can keep the outstretched leg bent at the knee until the position feels comfortable. Note 2. The most serious schools of Kriya recommend that for every 12 Kriya Pranayam, one should perform 1 Mahamudra, 3 remains the minimum number. To make it clear, those who practice 60 Kriya Pranayams should perform Mahamudra 5 times, while those who practice 12 or 24 pranayams should perform it 3 times. Unfortunately, having listened to different Kriyabans, I dare say it would be a miracle if Kriyabans regularly practiced even the 3 required repetitions. Others believe they are practicing Kriya correctly without ever practicing one single Mahamudra. There is no doubt that if you regularly skip this technique and lead a sedentary life, the spinal column will lose its elasticity. One's physical condition deteriorates over the years and it becomes almost impossible to maintain the correct meditation position for more than a few minutes. That is why Mahamudra is so important for Kriyabans. Effects. Mahamudra incorporates all the 3 bandhas. When applied simultaneously with the body bent forward and without excessive contraction, it helps one to be aware of both ends of Sushumna and produces the feeling of an energetic current moving up the spine. In due course, one will be able to perceive the whole Sushumna as a radiant channel. There are reports of yogis having achieved fantastic experiences using only this technique. According to their accounts, the perception of Sushumna has increased tremendously. There are Kriyabans who have set aside all the other Kriya techniques and practiced 144 Mahamudra in 2 sessions daily. They consider Mahamudra the most useful among all Kriya Yoga techniques. Insignificant details. I have noticed that some schools insist on uninfluential details. For example, they insist that when you extend the right leg in front, you must bend the left leg under the body so the left heel is as near as possible to the perineum. Then the left heel exerts pressure on the perineum. This pressure is of course a means of stimulating one's awareness of the Muladhara chakra in the coccyx region at the root of the spine. Of course, when you extend the left leg, it is the right heel to create pressure. Another example is when some schools suggest drawing the knee, or both knees, before the third movement, against the body so the thigh is as close to the chest as possible during inhalation. They recommend that the interlocked fingers are placed around the knee to exert pressure on it. They say that this helps to keep the back straight and make the inner sound of the Anahata chakra audible. Another detail is this. As we have seen, in the outstretched position, the big toe is grasped with firmness. Some schools insist on this detail. The toenail of the right, left, big toe is squeezed with the thumb of the right, left hand. The index and middle fingers are behind it. The left, right hand cups the sole of the foot. When the procedure is repeated with both legs outstretched, both toes are grasped with the interlocked hands. Navi Kriya, 3 variations. For a lot of people this technique is boring and they jump it. In effect, it is not strictly necessary. It will be when a particular teaching will be faced in the so-called higher kriyas. Precisely, the advanced form of thokar. I have found 3 variations of Navi Kriya and I deem it useful to introduce them so that the reader has a possibility of choice. Navi Kriya. First variation, the most common. Forget the breath, let it be natural. Rest the chin on the throat cavity. Om is chanted 100 aloud or mentally times in the navel region. The chin is then raised as much as possible and Om is chanted approximately 25 times in the third chakra Manipura. This is one Navi Kriya. Practice 4 Navi Kriyas. In this exercise, if you like, the hands can be involved. With the fingers interlocked, palms face downward, pads of both thumbs touching, the thumbs lightly press the navel for each Om. When the chin is then raised, the hands are kept behind the back and joined by interlocking the fingers with the palms facing upward. For every Om, the thumbs apply a light pressure to the lumbar vertebrae. This technique is repeated 4 times. Navi Kriya. Second variation, the most beautiful and useful. This variation envisages a remarkable work upon danshan. The danshan can be visualized as a ball about 1 1/2 inches in diameter. Its center is located about 1 1/2 inches below the belly button and about 2 1/2 inches inside. Focusing the awareness inside the danshan is something fantastic. This variation of Navi Kriya rivets the attention in a way that no other variation is able to produce. Its smooth shifting of energy along the circumference of the head has an effect without parallel. How to practice? The chin is brought down toward the throat cavity. You have a short inhalation, 2 seconds maximum, without concentrating on the chakras, followed by a very long exhalation during which the energy is felt descending from the frontal part of the brain, along a path outside the body to the navel, reaching through it the danshan region. During this long exhalation, Om is chanted mentally, rapidly, 10 to 15 times, accompanying the descent of energy throughout the path. After a short pause in the danshan, the head resumes its normal position. A short inhalation draws the energy into the head again. Now each detail is repeated but the descent of the energy happens through a different path. The head bends but not in the front. It bends toward the left shoulder, without turning the face. A long exhalation, with the same chanting of Om, 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 accompanies the downward movement of energy which starts from the brain's left side and moves along a path outside the body at its left side, as if shoulder or arm would not exist. The energy comes down to the waist, cross it and moves toward the danshan. The head moves back into its normal position. After a short inhalation, the head bends backwards. A long expiration, with the same chanting of Om, 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 accompanies the downward movement of energy which starts from the occipital region and moves outside the body, down to the waist where it bends, pierces the third chakra Manipura and moves toward the inside of the abdominal region, Danshan. The procedure is repeated likewise on the right side. The last exhalation concludes a mini cycle of 4 exhalations accompanied by 4 descents of energy towards the waist and, crossing it, towards the region of the Danshan. This mini cycle is repeated 9 times. In conclusion, we have had 4 times 9 equals 36 descents of energy. What we have described lasts 8 to 10 minutes and is equivalent to 4 repetitions of the basic form of Navi Kriya. Navi Kriya. Third variation, Nice. Visualize a tiny cord that comes out from the point between the eyebrows, bends slightly and goes down to the navel. The procedure consists in mentally chanting the Om mantra in alternation between the point between the eyebrows and the navel. Precisely. When it comes natural to have an inhalation, inhale, visualize the movement of air rising through the visualized duct from the navel to the point between the eyebrows. Pause an instant there, just chant Om mentally. When it comes natural to exhale, exhale. Visualizing the movement of air going down into the navel, pause and chant Om mentally in the navel. By repeating this, you will markedly feel that your breath begins to subside and disappear. When Om is chanted about 100 times, bend your head backwards and repeat a similar procedure by chanting Om in alternation between the Bindu and the third chakra. Visualize another cord that connects, outside your body, the Bindu to the third chakra. Let your breath, if there is still a trace of breath, flow freely through that cord. When Om is chanted about 25 times, resume the chin's normal position. This is one Navi Kriya.